The second person I'm going to introduce you, and then we are going to straight to the question, because sorry, I'm not the moderator, so I'm doing messy, but I hope you understand. I multitask, yes. Paula Ferrari is a marketing director of GSMA, as Susan already told you. She's our topic chair for digital inclusion, and she can give you some beautiful data we shared a few weeks ago in Barcelona, nice place, but was freezing. So we enjoyed together the World Conference, a mobile conference, and they delivered the 2018 new data. So maybe you can make a brief presentation, and then we go to the question after I introduce Melanie, Stephanie and Paula.
Okay, thank you, Susana. Thank you for inviting me to be here today in this session, and I'm delighted to represent the GSMA as topic chair in the W20 engagement group. So just wanted to tell you that the role of the GSMA as topic chair is basically to help lead the subject of digital inclusion by means of different activities, engagement activities with delegates, with international association and experts. So I won't talk much about what you've already mentioned, but I do want to acknowledge the cross-cutting nature of digital inclusion. Access to digital technologies obviously can help enormously to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Not only one, not only two sustainable goals, but the 17 of them. Today we are going to talk about just one, about the SDG number 5, about gender equality. And mobile technology, particularly smartphones, particularly mobile internet access, can help women in different ways, and they can really help a lot in things like, for example, when you have a phone, when a woman has a phone, she really feels safe, and she also feels connected. And the mobile phone can also help her access information, vital information, and life-enhancing services such as health services, financial services, and what's most important, employment, right? So lots of things can be done and achieved by women when they have a cell phone and access to internet. However, having said all of this, there's still a huge digital gender divide that we need to address. So the problem is that this digital divide is replicating real life, real world inequalities, right? So let me share with you some numbers, like Susanna asked, from GSMA recent research on the significant gender gap that exists in mobile phones, mobile phone ownership and usage in low and middle income countries. I'm talking about mobile because mobile is the primary way to access internet in developing countries, in rural areas, right? So I think these stats are really relevant. I'm going to read them now very quickly. Women in low and middle income countries are, on average, 10% less likely to own a mobile phone than men. There are regional disparities within these numbers. South Asia has the largest average gender gap in both mobile ownership and mobile internet use, followed by sub-Saharan Africa. In Latin America, for example, there is not a significant gap in ownership, but there is a 4% gender gap in the internet use. Now, let me tell you some stats from Mexico and Brazil to show this disparity. In Mexico, there is a 5% gender gap in mobile ownership and a 10% gap in mobile internet use. But in Brazil, there is a 15% gender gap in mobile ownership and a 32% gender gap in mobile internet usage in rural areas. Nevertheless, the gender gap in mobile internet use is considerably wider than the mobile ownership gap. Women are 26% less likely than men to use mobile internet, which translates into 327 million fewer women than men using mobile internet. Once online, women are less likely than men to use the internet for economic and political empowerment. And women are also less likely to use other mobile services such as mobile money. So finally, what the report also shows is that we know that women and girls are also underrepresented within the ICT industry itself, in startups, in technology companies, and in ICT jobs in general. So I don't know if I have enough time, but I was going... Yeah?
No, we are going to follow with the question as you have more time to talk. Wow, we have lots of things to address. Did you realize? Paula, what are the main actions to be taken in order to ensure that women become active internet users?
Okay, so to answer that question, I think we need to start talking about one of the main barriers, which are the digital skills and literacy. And there are lots of challenges that women have to face in building digital capacity, and the challenges that they differ between regions, and they differ between cultures as well. So there isn't one size fits all solution in this case. However, there are lots of things that can be done, and I'm going to mention the main proposals that our delegates are, as we speak, discussing right now. So if we want to encourage the use of internet, then digital literacy and capacity buildings initiatives must consider women's needs, interests, and local context. That's the first thing that we are discussing in the moment. Then governments and companies should also invest in education initiatives, paying special attention to those initiatives that are that directly tend to increase women's and girls' digital skills and confidence across all levels of education. And when I talk about confidence, I'm gonna mention it again in the next question. It's because when women do not feel they don't are literate enough, they lose confidence on their own abilities to operate technology. One other thing that can really help is to develop online content and services, including government content and services, that they are accessible to women with limited literacy, language, and ICT-related skills. And as a marketing person, I would also like to mention that women with lower literacy levels should be included in the testing and in the pilots of those services that are being developed. Then, just the last recommendation, and this is also very, very important, Susana. We need to train our trainers, right? We need to train our teachers. And not only once, but we need to train them throughout a long learning and development process. Yeah, when we talk about technology, that's crucial because the technology changes every minute. And what's more, we also need to increase the number of women teaching ICT subjects, right? We also have to talk about role models.
That's right. We need more women appropriating the technology. How will you ensure affordable access to technology considering women's context and needs? I have an idea, but you are not going to agree. Free devices for everybody.
Free devices, you mean? free devices. Okay. Affordable access really needs public-private efforts, right? It's not that simple. Our delegates are also right now discussing some of the recommendations. For example, the improvement of understanding the ways in which men and women from different population segments are impacted by affordability issues. But then there's a reduction of the cost of the mobile devices and services. I mean, not giving them for free, but they should have a lower cost so that more women can afford access, especially those with lower incomes. This can be achieved through two things: public policy and regulatory measures, and also by the development of products and services and technical innovation, right? This is some information that must be useful. In Latin America, for example, taxes are a big component of the total cost of the service, of the mobile service. More than 40% of the total cost of the mobile ownership are taxes. So if we work on taxes together with governments, we could definitely reduce part of the cost of the mobiles. Then there's the improvement of network coverage, capacity, and quality. This is something Paula also mentioned before. It's crucial. But here as well, stakeholders must collaborate, especially in underserved areas where there is a large proportion of women, rural areas. And it is important to improve the existing capacity. We not always need new capacity, but we need to improve the existing capacity, promote infrastructure sharing from a commercial perspective, and release spectrum at an affordable cost. This is kind of technical, but there is especially the low frequency bands that can reach remote areas are the ones that should be released easily. And incentivize deployment in non-profitable areas. And last but not least, we should also we need to support and invest in safe and accessible public access facilities for women. For those women who cannot access internet in their homes, there should be some place where they can go and feel safe to access the internet.
Thank you very much. Very interesting comment.
When speaking on digital inclusion, barriers and issues are so complex and interrelated, it's not easy to wish for one single thing. But if I had to make this wish, I would wish that every single woman and girl could own or have their own phone or any other means of accessing the internet and have the enough education level to operate that technology. So that would be really, really good start.